What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So I am recapping both day 3 and 4 of our New York Jets training camp practices since I wasn't able to get to Fridays beforehand. But to be honest, I wasn't missing a whole lot when I went back to check it out. It wasn't nearly as juicy as Saturday was. So basically, Friday we found out that Will McDonald maybe missing a couple days of practice, maybe longer, as he's dealing with a leg contusion. And then, of course, we had generally all of the news coming out about Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh's press conference, where Aaron Rodgers had a lot to say about the New York Jets having such tremendous young talent that their Super Bowl window is maybe more wide open or longer than people expect it to be. And by virtue of that, maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't a one and done type deal in New York. Now, it was prefaced with a pretty big occurrence that could go on, right? If we do go on and we win a Super Bowl, maybe that does change everything, right? You want to talk about not hierarchy as the word, but when you want to talk about the can't think of the word I'm going to think about, but basically the longevity of his career and what he's been able to accomplish. Having success in New York is so different from so many of these other markets, and especially the history of this New York Jets team not being to the Super Bowl in 53 plus years. If he was to go out and accomplish that in year one, not only is he righting a lot of wrongs of failing to get past the NFC Championship games when he was with the Packers, you're revitalizing an entire team. And so the worst thing that happens is you deliver this team a ring. You decide that's how you want to cap your, Hall of Fame career. And you're not even necessarily setting the franchise back. You've improved on the offense. You would have helped develop, the team as a whole, offensively and defensively, with how he's been communicating and helping out in a lot of these meeting rooms. And so the only drawback would be, for us, we would love to repeat. And, if Aaron Rodgers were to go one and done, you're thinking about how do you accomplish that now with a guy like Zach Wilson, unless we hear about him making leaps and bounds and then we see a super strong OTA and mini camp and training camp from him to kind of smooth things over. But nonetheless, those are conversations for a later day. Robert Saleh did add a little fuel to the fire, though, saying he'd be a little bit surprised if it was a one-and-done deal for Aaron Rodgers. So, for what it's worth, we may actually get our money's worth in terms of return on investment for all of the draft capital that we gave up. Now, to get to Saturday's practice, this is where the juice was. So, we've actually had our first couple brawls during practice Saturday. The people that I seen and was able to dig up as being involved in seemed like there was 3 various fights. Tight end Kenny Yeboah, tight end Jeremy Ruckert, our defensive tackle Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle Quentin Jefferson, DT/edge Michael Clemons, and then DE/linebacker Jermaine Johnson. So it seemed like things got a little bit chippy. I heard Michael Clemons threw some punches, as well as Jermaine Johnson. Overall, Robert Saleh just kind of chalked it up to, it's been a hot couple days. We're finally getting into the real feel of things for the first time in, 6-7 months or so, from the last time that we were able to play any kind of meaningful game. So it's to be expected. Glad, luckily there was nothing crazy that happened. The first time that I looked into it, I seen a bunch of stuff that said there weren't any reported punches, and I've seen some obvious photos and some different things detailing otherwise. But no serious injuries, no wear and tear on the team morale and chemistry. So it is what it is. We'll see if it continues to happen, for Sunday's training camp practice, or if this is something that bleeds into following weeks. But again, first time you're really getting hands on somebody in a significant way in a very physical sport is bound to happen, right? You can't always be buttoned down and professional 100% of the time. So some of the other things that came up, we seen our first appearance from Dwayne Brown Saturday. He missed the first couple days of practice, but I heard he arrived halfway through practice. He didn't actually go out there and complete or anything like that. which leads into some of the injury news. Obviously, Will McDonald still didn't end up practicing, but Dwayne Brown got put on the PUP list, physically unable to practice or physically unable to perform. Nonetheless, at least for a couple days or so, give or take, he'll probably be ready by next week. We'll see how they play that out. But he won't be having any direct involvement in practice. But we at least did get our sighting, so whatever was going on for those personal issues that he took the last 3 days off for, those seem to be behind him. The next issue is going to be, will we begin our actual competition next week? Because Tuesday starts the day that we get padded practices beginning. So this will give Mekhi Becton a true ability to go out there and try to show what he can do, since he's been getting beat a little bit, right? I heard Bryce Huff beat him. Obviously, he's been doing it to a lot of different tackles across the league, not just in these practices, but he gave him some fits last year from what I remember too. And, he can't really do a whole lot. You can't get your hands on him like you want to. Things are going to be skewed to the defense's way right now without pads on. But not only was he beat by Bryce Huff, he was beat by Pittsburgh undrafted free agent Deslin Alexandra, or Alexander, however you pronounce it. So we'll kind of see. Be patient. We'll see how this works out. This is the same thing, same way things begin for Mekhi Becton last year. Started with Bryce Huff. We heard what is the name that escaped me? I almost said Vince Carter. We heard Carl Lawson beating him quite a bit during practices, although he was moving sides. So either way, we'll kind of see how that pans out for him. Once we get the pads on, I'm sure we'll see a lot of that eliminated. But again, he's not the most technically refined tackle out there. He is relying a lot on his physical build, so that will help him out once he has something he can actually get those hands on to grip. Other news, we did get some more signings, so I have to see how this plays out because I didn't see any cuts. But defensive lineman Ifeadi Odenigbo out of Northwestern played for the Colts last year. I think he racked up 3.5 sacks I saw. And then running back Demarie Crockett out of the University of Missouri, and I believe he played with the Broncos last season. So don't know a ton about them realistically. Probably just some depth pieces to make sure we're still getting quality snaps out of every position. But again, just like with the other guys, I'll be putting out some background for them in the coming days for sure. Overall, though, strong practices. Those that have been having some of the strongest practices, I should say, for the last 2 days that I've seen. Keep in mind, Saturday was by far the best offensive day that Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson's unit actually has had. The defense has beaten them pretty soundly the first 2 days of practice, but Aaron Rodgers, obviously, strong practice Saturday. Zach Wilson actually had a pretty strong practice. I heard he want to say it was 5 of 7, had some pretty impressive throws, had a pretty good consistency. And I think the only 2 throws that didn't get completed were drops I've seen by Irvin Charles. So a little bit of a setback there for Irvin, but we'll see how things pan out. DT Quinnen Williams, I heard he was blowing up a lot of stuff in practice. He was in the backfield quite a bit throughout practice. Defensive end Bryce Huff, again, he's had a sack in every practice that we've had so far. So obviously his skills are they're up there, right? He's showing why not only the Jets believe that he was worth a second-round pick, somebody who's willing to risk that, but he's showing his elite get-off hasn't gone anywhere. So pretty exciting to see that he's making an immediate impact. DT Quentin Jefferson, I think he picked up 2 sacks over the course of practice. And then kicker Greg Zerling, he actually went 5 of 5. And so he's showing why there doesn't need to be any kind of kicker competition, what that veteran presence from somebody that's done it at a high level in the league looks like. So again, these are a lot of the things that we haven't been accustomed to. Right, we kind of hang our hats on to 1, 2, maybe 3 guys, and it often tends to be a lot of undrafted free agent people, and then maybe you get a free agent signing that looks like he could be worth the money we spent for just for the season to come by. and that not end up being the case. But still, very strong practice from Aaron Rodgers overall, and then especially in the red zone. I heard he was out there throwing some pretty strong lasers, some dimes. Mecole Hardman was finally able to get in on the fun. So good stuff there. There was some interesting things that I heard today as well. One of them being, or I guess the clear one that I want to discuss, was there seems to be a new mental trick being implemented during the practices. So somebody was able to see that the AFC East logos from teams like the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots were being taped. It's like somebody took the logo, they printed it out on some copy paper, and they taped them to the tackling dummies, right? So I heard today from I've heard it's actually been each team, but mostly today. We've seen the Bills. We played them to start the season. It makes sense. So that's a little bit of an interesting mind trick there from the coaching staff. Maybe they're trying to already get it into their minds how important that game one is going to be for us, especially since it's a division rival for us. So we'll see if that continues to be the case, if that pans out. I'm not sure that'll be something they try to stick to for the long haul. Just kind of seems like a waste of paper. Probably better ways to go out there and try to emphasize that, but still interesting nonetheless. So either way, let me know what your guys' thoughts were from the practices from Friday and Saturday. Maybe I'll try to live stream tomorrow, or I guess today by the time you guys are watching. I'll try to live stream Sunday. Maybe figure out something for the Jets Flight Squad podcast on Monday to catch up with you guys. But appreciate everything, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.